What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and very good win. Honestly, it's probably our best overall performance in the past several games. And I know the Burnley one was also good, but I think what differs between the Burnley game and this one is that I didn't really think Burnley gave us much of a game. Like, they just didn't really seem up for it. Sheffield, they put some good pressure on us. Like, they actually made us work. I don't know. It seemed a bit more difficult for us to play, but we still worked through it anyway. Whereas Burnley, it just felt like they were never really in it. They had one chance early on that they missed, and then after that, hardly threatened us. So yeah, overall, aside from the one goal, I thought we looked very dominant. We looked in control. Even when Sheffield was causing us issues, we still didn't really give them good chances. So yeah, I just thought overall it was a good performance. Um, and I will talk a little bit about the subs again because even though I'm not really upset with the subs, I don't think they're terrible subs. I still kind of have to question Frank a little bit. For the first thing, he put Jorginho in for Kovacic. That makes sense. But then he changes it again and puts Jorginho as your deepest player. I just don't understand why he keeps doing that. I get that he's supposed to be a deep lying playmaker, but he's also your worst player there. Just gonna say it. He is. He's not a good enough defensive player to be there. And honestly, while he does have his good games where he does play some good balls, it's not like he's Cesc Fabregas and every single pass that he's picking is fantastic. Half of them don't come off. So I just don't understand why he keeps putting him there. Why not try to do something different with him? Because putting him there has not really worked in the past. There was like a little stretch of games, I remember, at the beginning of last season, before the shutdown. There was a little stretch of games where he finally started to look like the player we were expecting to get. And then after the shutdown, he just went back to the same old Jorginho. A lot of side passing, getting run by, not defending well. So why do we keep going back to that? Why, when he is on the field, do you keep putting him there? It doesn't matter if he doesn't want to play there or if he doesn't want to play anywhere else. You're the coach. You make the final decision. You should be able to look at this and see we can't not put Conte there if Conte's on the field. If you want to do it when Conte is not on the field, that's your choice. I don't know why you wouldn't play him in the first place unless you're giving him a break. But if Conte is on the field and so is Jorginho, Conte should be the holding mid, not Jorginho. That's how it should be every time. So that doesn't make any sense. And then he doesn't make any subs, really. He made that one because Kovacic started feeling something. And I know that, yeah, we got the international break coming up. So, yeah, I understand we don't really have to rest people right now. But at the same time, why not give some of these players that haven't played a whole lot a little bit of game time? Why not give Giroud more minutes? Why not give Hudson-Odoi more minutes? Why not give Azpilicueta some minutes to keep him fresh? Because you're going to need him. I mean, Chilwell and James can't play every single game. It's just not possible. So I'm confused by the subs again. He made one more sub, and it was Giroud, and it was very late on. I don't think he made another one after that. If he did, I don't remember it. But I don't get that idea. I don't get that concept. Like, why would you not give some more minutes to the guys who need it? Because honestly, for the first part of the game, I thought Kovacic wasn't one of our best. Like, he looked like one of our worst players on the field because he hasn't really played a whole lot. He's not really getting that many minutes. He's gotten subbed on in a few games, but you could see he's typically very good on the ball. His touch is good. He's very clever. He's very quick to make something happen. He didn't do that a whole lot in the first half because he hasn't had time to. He's not really played a whole lot. So you risk, you got good players like Giroud on the bench. Azpilicueta's still a great defender. If you don't give them game time, that ability starts to drop. If they don't get a whole lot of good game minutes, they're going to go into these games a little cold because they haven't had a chance to play in a while. So I don't know. I don't understand why Lampard doesn't use his subs better. Like, that is the one thing that he's been consistently just awful at. Even when we're playing well, I still don't like the subs. I still think the subs are the worst part of his managing position. So anyways, with all that being said, let's talk individuals. Mendy had another good game, didn't really have that much to do later on, but first half, had some crosses to claim, had some moments where he had to be aware and be ready. His feet are still a worry for me. There are moments when Sheffield were pressing us high and we're passing around the back, and I'm thinking, oh God, don't go to Mendy. Because you always got to worry with him. It's just unfortunate that we picked up a good keeper. We just didn't get a good keeper that's also good with his feet too. Um, so that is one worry, just because we do keep a lot of possession in our defense. When it goes back to him, that's always something that I'm gonna feel a little nervous about. But when it comes to shots and crosses and all that, hardly really have to worry. The only thing that looks to hurt us the most is the second ball, the one where none of the defenders react and then the goal happens. And that's what happened on our first goal, honestly. We just corner comes in, two people read it, but then they chase the ball, so then ball gets laid in behind them. Nobody is guarding the cross. Everybody drops deep. One guy just checks out, nobody's with him, and then it's just an easy shot flick. And I mean, even I think some of the best keepers in the world might get there. Like, they might get lucky and get there, but they're not going to make that save because that's just hard to read. So, yeah, that's pretty much the only thing we really have to worry about is, like, flick shots or just bad defending that leads to one-on-one chances. And even then, like, I still expect him to save probably half of those. So, but yeah, good game from Mendy again. The fullbacks, James and Chilwell. James played okay. I think he might have been our weakest player today, just because he didn't really provide a whole lot. Defensively, he did well. I thought he, tracked runs very well. He made sure not to get caught too far up the field. But on the attack, he definitely didn't give us a whole lot, and that's, again, something that I think we have him in there because of that. Azpilicueta is probably our best defending fullback that we have. He's definitely our best defending fullback that we have. So the reason that James is starting over Azpilicueta right now is because James is supposed to be better on the attack. We know Azpilicueta isn't the best crosser. He's not the best shooter. His passing is decent. But James is supposed to be a fantastic crosser. He can shoot really well, but he's not really been doing that this season. His crosses, they've been good-looking crosses, but they've not been to anybody. They've just been dumped into the box, and hopefully somebody's there. And honestly, with Ziyech on that side... Ziyech? It's Ziyech, right? Please tell me. I'm still, like, stuck on that name. Like, is it Ziyech or is it Ziyech? Ziyech. Whatever. Hakim, I'll just call him by his first name. With Hakim on that side, he's going to be the one sending in the crosses. He whips them in left-footed back posts. If somebody's there, they poke it in. If not, the keeper has to adjust and make the save, or it curls in. So he's just kind of not been effective on the attack. And I think that's kind of a worry because the reason you have him in there is because he is supposed to be effective on the attack. He is supposed to give us more. And I just don't think he has. So that's why I consider him probably our weakest player today, because the reason he was in there, he didn't really do that for us today. But again, he didn't really make any mistakes defensively, and he did his job well enough there. Chilwell looked a bit more like what we come to expect, what we do expect from him. Because, like I said before, he's not really done much in the past several games. He's not given us what he was giving us at the beginning when he first was starting. So I am still worried about him. I still think he does need a time to rest, because I don't think he has gotten time to rest since coming back from his injury. So I really hope that Lampard can look at that and say, all right, we need to give you a break. We do have Azpilicueta. He can play on the left side, because you can't just rely on one guy every single game. Eventually, he's going to get tired. He's going to get hurt. You got to make sure you have your backup ready. Not Emerson. Please, not Emerson. But Azpilicueta is a good left back. He can make that work. So, yeah. As far as the center backs are concerned, though, those were probably... I would say that was our best position today, was the center backs. They little bit of miscommunication on the goal. I don't think Zuma was really ready for anything, and Silva, normally the one I think that's organizing, I don't know if he was watching what was going on, but it seemed like nobody picked up the guy at the top of the box, and it feels like one of those two should be like either getting in front of the shot or telling somebody to get in front of the shot, but it seemed like a little miscommunication there. But aside from that, both of them had a really, really good game. Probably our strongest players on the pitch. Just didn't give either of the strikers for Sheffield much time to do anything at all. It really was a game where Sheffield, again, not like Burnley, where it just felt like they didn't have anything going forward. They lacked ideas. Sheffield had some ideas. They were moving the ball well. They were putting some good pressure. They were flying at us. They created some good chances because of that. But as the game went on, just Zuma and Silva started cutting everything down. There's nothing they could do because Zuma and Silva were always there. And it did. There's another player that I'll talk about in a second that helped with that. But it's just nice to have two defenders that are constantly reading the play. They're constantly shutting down attacks. They're not letting the counterattacks happen. They're both turned on and ready. And it's such a nice feeling to have. Because again, I go back to Christensen against Liverpool. And honestly, Christensen against not West Brom, Southampton. Those moments where the ball gets played up. For one against Liverpool, it was to Mane. Against Southampton, it was to Ings. And Christensen just has no clue. He doesn't see it happening. He's not prepared for it to happen. So by the time he reads that and by the time he's going to step to it, it's too late. He's beat. With Zuma and Silva, they read almost everything. They're hardly ever caught off guard because both of them are working together to make sure ball gets played up. I'm ready to step to this guy. He's not going to have a clean touch. And it's so nice to have. Just that confidence back there that when the ball gets played up the field, this isn't going to be a chance for a counterattack. They're going to shut it down and force them to either go back to their defense or we're going to win the ball back. The other player that contributes to that is Conte. And again, I don't understand why Lampard can't see that. He is the best player in the center of that three midfield. He's constantly there. He's constantly cutting off attacks as well. It's like Zuma is behind, I think it was McGoldrick. McGoldrick, anytime he went to receive it, or at least most of the time, Zuma's right behind him. And if he takes a touch, most of the time Conte is there to cut it off as well. So it's like you got the two defenders just constantly shutting off the attack with Conte just running in front. And he's just always there. He's always shutting off everything. He's always cutting off passes. He's always putting in a tackle. And that's why we need him there. That's a lot of the reason why Sheffield, despite the fact that they were trying, they couldn't get anything going because we have two defenders who are always there, and we have Conte, who's always there. With Jorginho, you don't always get that. If you put Christensen in there, he's not always going to read that. So, yeah, that three right there, it's like a little triangle of those three. That is our best defensive core right now. And I hope Lampard sees that. I hope he doesn't go back to trying to get Jorginho in there and pushing Conte further up the field because it just doesn't make sense to do that. Now, going forward a bit more, Mount and Kovacic were in front of Conte in the midfield. I like this formation. He did it against Burnley with Havertz and Mount sitting in front of Conte. I do like this formation because it allows Conte to be the buffer for the defense and the other two midfielders to be kind of box to box. And Mount is a player who can do that. Today, he had kind of a back and forth type of game. He had moments where he was doing really well. Honestly, I think the best part of his game is still whenever we don't have the ball. He's such a hardworking player and works to win it back. And I don't think that side of his game gets really noticed. I think people, most of the time when they look at attacking players like Mount, they're like, oh, but is he scoring? Is he assisting? Is he contributing to our attack? And I just don't think that's Mount's best quality. I think his best quality is he works really hard to win the ball back. So that's something he can do very well. And Kovacic is very much like that too. I think Kovacic is a better player on the ball though. Just based on some of his tackles in the past, they're not always the best. But yeah, I think the two of them are very well suited to just run in the midfield. Whereas Havertz, if he's in there, while he will do the defensive side of stuff, he doesn't do it as much, and he's much better on the ball than he is off. But with the two, Mount and Kovacic, I think those two are very good off the ball at working in the midfield and making sure that the other team doesn't have time to play, and that's always good to have. But yeah, so Mount today, average, he did okay. He had good moments off the ball and not so great moments on the ball, but he was still very effective in there. Kovacic, like I said, first half wasn't his best. It just looked like he was a little rusty. Some of his touches weren't coming off. Some of his passes weren't meeting their targets. But as the game went on, he did grow into it more. He did start to contribute a lot more. He did assist I'm pretty sure it was the equalizer. Yeah, he dropped it back to Abraham, who put it far post. So, yeah, I think he really did grow into the game and really did show why he needs to play more. I get that you want to play Havertz over him, understand, but don't forget about Kovacic. Don't let him rot away on the bench because he is a player that's still very effective. as far as the front three are concerned, Werner and Ziyech on the wings, and then Tammy up top. Werner, he got the goal, which is good. It's always good to see him score. He doesn't. It's like even in the games where he's not playing his best, he still seems to find the back of the net, and that's good to have for a striker. But today was definitely not one of his better games. I didn't think he was as involved as he could have been. And I don't know how much of that is just him playing out on the wing. He doesn't get as much time as on the ball as he wants to. But I do think he needs to find the game more whenever he's on the left wing. And especially because I do feel like it almost becomes kind of like a two-striker system, I guess, because he does tend to step more inside, and then Chilwell provides the width. So I don't mind having him over there on the left side, but if you're going to do that, he needs to be more involved. Because as it stands, it's just kind of he's out there, and then Chilwell's out there, and he's not really finding any possession. It's mainly Chilwell that is. And I don't know, I just want them to combine a bit more, I guess, because I just expect to see Werner on the ball. You know, he's got so much speed. I feel like he should be taking it down the line and beating defenders and cutting it inside, but I don't know, it doesn't feel like that's his game, and I feel like he needs to add that a bit more because I want to see him on the ball more. I want to see what he can do on the ball more. Because when he is on the ball, he does some fantastic stuff. It just doesn't find his feet as often as I think it needs to. And then Ziyech, I mean, he got man of the match. I don't know what else I can say. He deserves it. He's a fantastic player. You know, he's very good on the ball. His crosses are fantastic. But more than that, the one thing that I really appreciate about Ziyech is that he works to win it back. You know, there was a moment I remember, it was in the first half. He gave it away. He was looking for a pass and gave it away. And just instantly, like, turns, runs back to win it back. And it's just, it reminds me so much of Willian. I love the fact that we got a player in, because that was what I was worried about. When we got rid of Willian, you know, we let him go for free to Arsenal. Still think that was a stupid decision, but we let him go. Is somebody going to fill that void? Is somebody going to provide that work ethic in the front three? Because, yeah, attacking players, they need to be on the attack. They need to be good in the attack. But if they're not going to work for you defensively, they're going to hurt you. That was one of the main complaints about Hazard, is that he didn't want to work back. He was a fantastic player when we were on the ball. But if he's not working to win it back, you might never get the ball back, and then you might never ever be able to give him the ball to let him do what he does. So it's always good to have a player that is good on the ball, but are also willing to work to win it back and put pressure on the defense, because also it makes it to where it's not easy to keep possession. You know, if the other team is keeping possession, they're moving, it's going to wear you out. It's going to wear your defense out. If your attack players are constantly putting pressure on the defense and making them make mistakes, it's going to get you on the ball more, which then allows those attack players to be much more effective. So I really appreciate what he does off the ball. I know he's getting a lot of plaudits for what he does on it, but I did want to point that out as well, because he is a fantastic player. I think he's one that I think a lot of people knew he was going to be good coming in, but I think a lot of the focus was on, you know, Werner and Havertz being such big signings. And then, of course, we needed to fix our defense and our keeper situation, so that got a lot of focus too. He could be like a quiet, fantastic signing for us. You know, nobody really talked about it, but now that we're seeing what he can do, it's like, wow, he was worth the money that we paid. And probably, honestly, we probably underpaid for him. So, Abraham up top, he had some good moments, for sure. He got a good goal as well. So he had those moments, but also there are the moments that I feel like he needs to fix. And those moments are mainly whenever he's in the box and surrounded by defenders. I feel like he doesn't know what to do in those situations. You know, like, he kind of puts his head down, he's on the ball, and he doesn't really have a sense of what's going on around him. Because it happened a few times where he picks it up, his back is to the goal, and he's got like 3 defenders on any side of him. And he does have a couple options. He can turn and have a quick shot and maybe get it past the defender. He can lay it off to somebody. He can lay it back. Or he could probably slip it through to somebody that's making a run on his right or left. But he doesn't see any of that. It's like as soon as he gets in there, ball at his feet, pressure comes, head down, and he's just trying to make sure he keeps the ball. That's where he needs to grow. And he has, I mean, he's still got a lot of ability already. You know, he's tall, he's fast, he can shoot, but that's definitely something that if you want to be a striker in the Premier League, you got to learn how to deal with pressure inside the box back to the goal. You know, that's something that Giroud I think has done very well. He's very good at linking up play with with his back to the goal. That's something he's got to learn. You know, and I do think he can, but that is definitely the one thing as I'm watching today, I'm thinking, God, Tammy, you got to learn that. You got to learn what to do in those situations because that's happened a few times now, and he just lost. As soon as that pressure comes, he's like, oh, I got to keep the ball. I got to keep the ball. And then he loses it because he doesn't lay it off. He doesn't do anything with it. And the defenders just poke it away. So, but I know it's kind of a nitpick, but it is something that he can grow on. And I want him to grow. I want him to be our main striker going forward because he is a good player. And I think when you compare him and Werner as strikers, I think he provides more consistency there. I think Werner is good in games where you know they're going to sit high and he can get him behind. Abraham can do a little bit of both. You know, he can be the striker that can run in behind with his pace, but also he's got the height too, so if you need a target man, he can be that as well. So it's like he's a mixture of the two, whereas Giroud is just much more a target man. So I want him to be our main number 9 going forward. You know, I know it obviously moves Werner out of his position, but I like having a striker that can mix it up a little bit. That isn't just a one note running behind. That's it. That's all Werner has. So yeah, hopefully he can grow there. But overall, I mean, it was still a fantastic performance from him. As far as the subs, you know, Jorginho came on. I was a little worried at first because it was a moment. I think we were 3-1 up at the time when he came in. No, we were 2-1 up because I remember thinking like this is kind of dangerous. Thankfully, Sheffield didn't really make it work. Like they still weren't able to get past our midfield. I think a lot of that is just down to Mount. Whenever it was Jorginho, Conte, and Kovacic, I don't think they gelled as well defensively. You know, because I don't know, just something about having to get up and back. It didn't work as well. But with Mount in there, for some reason it works better when he's the box-to-box player. But anyways, but yeah, we still held the midfield pretty well, even with Jorginho there. I still don't think he needs to be our player there, but I was glad to see that it didn't cost us. And then Giroud just comes on, and he didn't have a whole lot of time to do anything, so it is what it is. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's the last game before the international break. That's unfortunate because international break tends to screw us over more often than not. After the last one, Mendy came back hurt, and then we tied Southampton 3-3, so hopefully that doesn't happen again. But yeah, overall, I mean, this game really is showing that we're growing as a team. We're growing together. I think it's becoming a lot more obvious how our style of play is going to be. You know, we're going to try to control the possession. We're going to try to, you know, make sure we play on the counter, but also we have the ability to change it up a little bit, defend, and then just possess up to the top. But yeah, our attack players are finishing. Our defensive players are doing well, keeping the attack from the other team from getting going. And Mendy is being a good keeper. So, but with all that being said, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts in this game? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews, and I'll see you guys at the next game. Peace out.